Welcome to Decoding Autism Now, where we bring you science-backed insights into the biology behind autism. I'm Dr. Elise Martin, and this is episode 7 of our 24-part series based on the book Unlocking the Rhythm of Digestion in Autism by Quay Stoner. Today, we're diving into a lesser-known but powerful mechanism, low stomach acid, and how it silently rewires digestion, the immune system, and even brain chemistry. It's easy to dismiss stomach acid as a simple digestive issue, but in reality, it plays a central role in systemic health, especially for many children and adults on the autism spectrum. Low stomach acid, clinically known as hypochlorhydria, disrupts far more than digestion. It's the starting point of a cascade that reshapes immune balance, hormone regulation, detoxification, and neurological signaling. Without enough stomach hydrochloric acid, or HCl for short, food isn't broken down efficiently. But it goes deeper. Your stomach's HCl also acts as a chemical signal. It tells the pancreas when to release enzymes, the gallbladder when to release bile, and the brain when nutrients are available. Low acid sends the wrong messages. Over time, this can impact gene expression, neurotransmitter synthesis, and even mitochondrial performance. It's a foundational issue, not a digestive footnote. Your digestive acid is produced by the parietal cells in the stomach. Parietal cell health, often compromised by chronic inflammation, autoimmunity, or deficiencies in zinc and B12, lies at the core of hypochlorhydria. Many individuals on the spectrum show silent signs of this breakdown, long before reflux or discomfort appears. Protein digestion begins in the stomach with pepsin, an enzyme that only works in a highly acidic environment, specifically at a pH below 2.0. Raise the pH even slightly, and pepsin loses its function. This matters because some of the most common dietary proteins, gluten from grains and casein from dairy, require proper pepsin activity to be broken down safely. When they aren't digested, they form opioid-like peptides, molecular fragments that resemble opioid drugs. These fragments can cross the gut lining and interact with opioid receptors in the brain, where they can affect emotional stability, behavior, stress response, gastrointestinal functions, and pain perception. This is one of the early contributors to what's often referred to as a leaky gut, or increased intestinal permeability. But it didn't start in the gut, it started in the stomach. These peptides can increase seizure risk, impair social bonding, and elevate self-stimulatory behaviors in some children, clinical patterns that often respond when these peptides are reduced through diet or digestive support. Opioid peptides don't just float harmlessly through the system, they have targets. One key target is the CD26 receptor, which plays a critical role in immune modulation and enzyme activation. When these peptides bind to CD26, they block an enzyme called adenosine deaminase, or ADA for short. Without ADA, the adenosine, a signaling molecule, builds up. And this isn't just a minor traffic jam. High adenosine disrupts methylation, one of the body's most critical processes. Methylation controls DNA expression, neurotransmitter production, detoxification, and energy metabolism. In autism, where methylation is often already fragile due to genetic single nucleotide polymorphisms, or SNPs for short, like the MTHFR or COMT genes, blocking ADA can become the tipping point. Elevated adenosine also activates A2A receptors, which increase oxidative stress and neuroinflammation, two hallmarks seen in autism spectrum disorders. This single blockade ripples outward into behavior, immunity, and cognition. Before we go further, it's important to understand what fuels acid production itself. The stomach's parietal cells rely on key cofactors to generate hydrochloric acid, zinc, chloride, and vitamin B12. Zinc is not only required to create stomach acid, it also supports gut barrier repair and enzyme activation. Meanwhile, B12 absorption depends on acid to separate it from food proteins, and without B12, neurological and mitochondrial symptoms intensify. Chronic low acid causes a dangerous loop. Poor mineral absorption leads to zinc and B12 deficiency, which further suppress acid output. Many children on the spectrum test low in these nutrients, not because they aren't eating enough, but because they're not absorbing them. Autoimmune gastritis, sometimes triggered by food sensitivities or gut infections, can damage the very cells that produce acid. This silent autoimmunity is underdiagnosed in autism. Opioid peptides are just one of several roadblocks at the CD26 receptor. Heavy metals, particularly mercury, can bind to the receptor and inhibit ADA activity. So can streptococcal toxins, like streptokinase, commonly found in children with PANDAS or chronic infections. Add in partially digested food peptides, especially from gluten and casein, and you've got a triple threat. Each one clogs the receptor. Together, they grind the methylation engine to a halt. It's no wonder that so many parents report regression or flares after infections, dietary changes, and other health-related events. The system is fragile, overburdened, and hypersensitive to insult. CD26 also regulates T-cell activation. When it's jammed, the immune system becomes dysregulated, potentially increasing autoimmunity or immune suppression. All of this creates a self-reinforcing cycle, a biological feedback loop that explains why symptoms worsen over time, even without any obvious triggers. Here's how it unfolds. Stress, infection, or toxins raise stomach pH. Pepsin stops working. Proteins remain intact. Opioid peptides block CD26. ADA is inhibited. Adenosine builds up. Methylation stalls. Neurotransmitter and energy production drop. Acid secretion is suppressed even further. And the loop continues. This is why addressing one symptom, like reflux or low energy, rarely solves the whole picture. The cascade must be interrupted at multiple points to reset the system. Elevated adenosine also impacts sleep architecture and muscle tone, explaining issues like night waking, poor REM sleep, and hypotonia in some children. When methylation slows, it doesn't just affect detox or gene expression, it shifts the neuroimmune landscape. High adenosine activates purinergic receptors, especially A2A receptors, which increase neuroinflammation and oxidative stress. These are consistently elevated in many children on the spectrum. DNA methylation controls the activity of genes that regulate cytokine balance, synaptic pruning, and neuron-glia interaction. Disruption here can lead to symptoms like sensory overwhelm, immune overactivation, and emotional dysregulation. This isn't just biochemistry, it's behavior shaped at the molecular level. Low methylation capacity also impairs creatine synthesis and myelination, key for brain energy and processing speed. From here, hormone disruption begins. 3 important hormones, secretin, motilin, and gastrin, are suppressed by low acidity. Meanwhile, CCK becomes overactivated. CCK not only impairs protein digestion, it hijacks amino acids like tryptophan and tyrosine, redirecting them to manage opioid peptides instead of building serotonin or dopamine. Somatostatin, the master off switch, rises in response to all this chaos. It shuts down stomach acid, thyroid hormone signaling, and even growth hormone, contributing to stunted growth, poor sleep, and chronic fatigue. The body shifts from a state of regeneration to survival. Somatostatin overexpression is linked to anxiety and social withdrawal, symptoms frequently reported by parents. Even when children eat enough protein, low stomach acid means they may not absorb key amino acids, like phenylalanine, tryptophan, and tyrosine. These are the precursors to the neurotransmitters dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. But here's the twist. The same amino acids are also needed to tolerate the stress of opioid peptide accumulation. The body is forced to choose survival signaling over neurotransmitter synthesis. It's like trying to rebuild your house while the fire is still burning. You never get ahead. This biochemical prioritization explains why some kids show emotional fragility, food pickiness, or extreme mood swings even with seemingly balanced nutrition. Fortunately, this entire cascade leaves clues. Laboratory testing can reveal critical imbalances: low plasma amino acids, especially tryptophan, tyrosine, and methionine, high intestinal pH on stool analysis, elevated urinary opioid peptides from gluten and casein, malabsorption markers, steatocrit aka too much fat in the stool. Calprotectin is a protein released by the body in response to inflammation, low pancreatic elastase, which is an enzyme crucial in digesting proteins, low glutathione or sulfate levels in organic acid tests. Inflammatory markers like TNF-alpha and IL-6 often correlate with poor methylation and high adenosine, but are rarely tested in standard pediatric care. These markers offer a window into the silent biochemical drama playing out in the gut and brain. To recap, For a significant subset of individuals on the autism spectrum, low stomach acid may be a silent but powerful disruptor, interfering with digestion, neurotransmitter synthesis, immune balance, and hormone regulation. It begins subtly, a slightly elevated stomach pH, but the consequences ripple outward: undigested proteins, blocked enzymes, inflammation, and nutrient starvation. And because the symptoms often show up far from the stomach, in sleep, behavior, mood, or immune reactivity, they're rarely connected to their root cause. Recognizing this cascade gives us an upstream target for intervention. In our next episode on Chapter 8 of the book, we'll explore a key player that keeps this cycle stuck, somatostatin, and how we might quiet its overexpression to begin the journey back to balance. This series is based on the book Unlocking the Rhythm of Digestion in Autism, now available in paperback, hardback, and digital formats on Amazon. If today's insights sparked a deeper understanding, share this episode with a parent, clinician, or educator. You never know whose life you might change. And don't forget to subscribe to Decoding Autism Now, where we make the invisible visible. Please remember, always consult a healthcare provider before making changes to your health routine. Final thought of the day. The body isn't broken, it's missignaled. And sometimes the smallest signals, like the pH of the stomach, echo across the entire system. Healing begins with listening to the body's whispers before they become shouts.